Alright, so we now have yet another VOD review. This time it's going to be just as interesting as the last one. So I've reviewed AMSA um, most recently, and we were able to transcribe a few concepts from Melee Yoshi to add into Ultimate Yoshi. It definitely was a little harder, and I'm sure this will be too. But now we're going to try Smash 64 Yoshi. Now, Smash 64, I was very out of date for Smash 64. It seems like a contender for number one in 64 is actually Yoshi main, so I guess hypothetically, the Yoshi GOAT out of all the Smash games is actually Kurabba, which I did not realize when I was doing the AMSA video. So the best Yoshi player across all Smash games may very well be Kurabba. It is a bit weird because I would assume Smash 64 is definitely not as optimized. Like the height of skill in that game is probably not as high as like Melee or Ultimate, just because there's not as many people playing and not as many big tournaments with a lot of stakes going around. But this is a Smash game where the number one player in the world, or a contender for number one, is a Yoshi main. So I'm sure we'll still learn a lot. But this is also going to be the most primitive just because Yoshi has the least amount of options in this game. This is probably the game. He's probably closer to Melee Yoshi and hell. Honestly, if you're a Melee Yoshi or a Smash 64 Yoshi, you could probably watch Yoshi in the other game to get an idea of how to play him at a high level. Like, I'm sure you could learn a lot about Melee. Or you could probably transcribe a lot of things from 64 Yoshi to Melee Yoshi, and you could probably transcribe a lot of things from Melee Yoshi to Smash 64 Yoshi. If Kurabba and AMSA are not VOD reviewing each other, I don't know what they're doing. At least I theorize that's the case. But transcribing stuff into Smash Ultimate is definitely going to be a bit crazier of a task, but I believe that it is possible and we'll come out with at least something. I believe this is a game Yoshi's debatably the highest tier in, but it's just only 12 characters. But nonetheless, let's get started. I am excited to watch this, and I guess I'll go ahead and spoil. I am planning on watching the best Yoshi player in all the Smash games. But Smash 64 and Brawl, or no, Smash 4 and Brawl are never going to be interesting because there's not really like a super crazy good Yoshi man in those games. Yoshi Dora is the best Yoshi in Smash 4, but I feel like watching Yoshi Dora when I already watch all of Yoshi Dora's is whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out what Yoshi I watch. I might go for whoever the best Yoshi that isn't a current top Yoshi player in Ultimate. I think the Wall, I remember, but I think that was early Smash. Anyway, we'll find out. But let's watch the best Smash 64 Yoshi. Going high, that's interesting. That's already very unique in comparison to a lot of pretty much any of the game we've watched so far. I guess we have something to keep note is that in Smash 64 the combo game is kind of insane. The to the point where if you lose neutral once, that may very well be your stock. So playing more passively would make sense. And I'm sure that characters would have a harder time getting their kill combos if you're on the top platform. So this is definitely going to be a Smash 64 specific, or it's influenced by how Smash 64 works inherently, but going to the top platform probably makes more sense. We also established in pretty much every other Smash game, Yoshi likes being on platforms more than the majority of characters. For a lot of characters, being on a platform can be a poor position, but for Yoshi in most of the Smash games we've saw, this seems to be less of the case for Yoshi. But it's actually a feint. He makes it look like he's going to the top platform, and then he actually backs down. So he feints, and then actually just goes back onto the platform. This is probably something you could do in any Smash game. It's just feinting a reposition, and then not actually doing it. And this time he does actually go onto the top platform. Falcon is on the left side. So maybe Falcon's giving space for Yoshi to do that. And a lot of full hops. Not even short hops, full hops. So playing really avoidant, it seems. going back onto the right platform. We do know that Smash 64 is going to be a campier game than most, just because of the risk reward of everything being skewed to the game's punish game. Because you can't afford to make as many mistakes. So it's. But Yoshi playing very air campy. I did play against an Ultimate Yoshi recently that almost upset me. I think Wi-Fi was boosting the playstyle a little bit because it wasn't a Wi-Fi tournament. But it was a Yoshi that was actually camping on platforms. It was a little weird. I feel like if you're trying to go for a timeout, you shouldn't be playing Yoshi. Because I feel like there's other characters that reward a timeout playstyle better. But I was fighting a timeout playstyle Yoshi camping on platforms. Not on Battlefield, though. I assumed full hopping because maybe Falcon could cover a short hop from that distance, but Falcon could not cover. But Falcon could probably cover. Yeah, it's probably that full up air that Yoshi's playing around. Oh, getting a reversal. So there's probably a small window and Yoshi lands that Falcon can up air, but it's probably hard to hit. So if you shield right after landing, Falcon will hit you. It seems like if you get pushed off a platform with shield in this game, you just slide off. And Yoshi's able to cancel that into a double jump cancel aerial. So obviously Smash 64 is another game where double jump cancel aerials are a thing. This is probably something that only Yoshi can do. And now Kurabba is going back to the platform campy playstyle. Just rinse and repeat that neutral. Finally goes to the top platform after baiting it over and over and over and over, and then shields, because you'd get the same thing again if Falcon went for an up air. Falcon reads, do something on the left side of the platform, but of course Kurabba is going to jump. I'm assuming when Kurabba does these like jumps, he can react and change trajectory accordingly. Like if Falcon's starting to pressure this top platform when he's doing this diagonal full hop, he could probably just go back to the right platform, or if Falcon starts trying to cover the right platform, Yoshi could probably just jump onto the top platform. Very weird though, because I will say, well, this is winners quarters? Is that if the whole tournament? I'm a little surprised if it's for the whole tournament. I'm pretty sure there's a pretty steep skill difference between the two. I did spoil myself. Game 1 ends in a 4 stock. So I'm a little surprised Kurabba perceives that he must camp to this. But if it's winners quarters, maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. Jump. Ooh, okay. So that's another mix-up Yoshi has. Because again, the counter to the strategy that Kurabba's doing so far is likely placing an up air hitbox. Not when Yoshi lands, because he can shield. But right before he lands. Because there's a little window of vulnerability here. And that's where you must strike. But if Falcon aims for that, which actually he was too late. I think Yoshi could have gotten another shield. Yoshi can do basically a stall and fall, because Yoshi in these previous Smash games can stall and fall, basically with a double jump cancel aerial. So he's able to delay the fall and then punish a up air attempt with a neutral air. Shields because he knows that Falcon could potentially get this up air, and if he did get this up air, it'd probably be the same scenario that we saw at first. But now we're going to go back. But this time Falcon correctly places an up air, but not able to get too much. Yoshi stays patient on the platform, does not try to get back into center. And now we're rinse and repeating the same play style. Keep in mind their movement options a bit more limited in this game. Funny enough, Yoshi's one of the characters that has better movement, I think, because of double jump cancel shenanigans. But... Ooh, I just hit my funny bone. Ow! I'm sorry you guys had to see me do that on camera. Ooh, I just hit my funny bone real crazy. That's actually one of the worst funny bone hits I've had. Alright. Alright, it's going away. We're going back to this play style. I'm a little... Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little salty so far. Because this is a little harder to VOD review. And I feel like it's not necessary... It doesn't feel necessary for him to have to play like that. But maybe it is like that in Smash 64. But we're certainly playing a very intriguing neutral right now. But I understand. On platforms, if you're platform camping, if Falcon hits you, we just saw it right there. Falcon can't get any 0 to death combos. You're staying in a position where the threat of you getting comboed to death is basically non-existent, even if you do happen to get hit. Oh, tries getting a little forward air. Let's see why. So he shield drops. And little reminder, shield dropping is easy in Smash 64. On reaction to Falcon basically being around right here. Falcon goes for this up air. And I think he tries to forward air it on reaction to get a punish, a double jump cancel forward air. And he's actually able to do it in such a way that he forward airs up here, but is drifts onto this top platform still. Which is definitely a very unique, like kind of curving under the platform and curving over it, like in a C shape. That's definitely a unique positional thing that you can't do with most characters in any other Smash game. Outside of like wave landing on a platform. Yoshi dashes to the left and then drops through the platform. It then back airs to the right. But the back air is basically a wall. We're finally playing real neutral, thank God. Goes through this little full hop. And goes back to the platform. Tries a similar stall and fall strategy, but it doesn't hit it this time. Falcon's up air wins out. But, of course, we already know the reward on Falcon up air in this position is not there. He doesn't get any combos, it seems. And Yoshi tries... Or actually, Yoshi does some double jump cancel thing to cancel his hits down onto the platform. And then he tries to reversal Falcon and does hit the reversal with the neutral air. Tries comboing into F tilt, but Falcon's able to shield it. But shielding is terrible in Smash 64. Up tilts. Maybe this up tilt was basically reading a shield drop. Is able to combo that into a double jump cancel up air. Hit combos that into a forward air. Combos onto the platform. And combos that into an F smash. It then throws an egg out. Damn. So it tries a first egg. Doesn't hit. Tries another egg. Angles it up so that it will go back onto the ledge at the timing that someone is going to grab it. We see, to be fair, we see Yoshis do this all the time in Ultimate. They'll throw an egg at the ledge to try to, I think it 2 frames. It definitely hits ledge stall, but it is a 2-frame option as well. Honestly, I should use it more as a 2-frame. I always use it for ledge trapping, but it could potentially, I wonder if you could like throw it to ledge trap, or like to 2-frame from roll distance, or maybe even neutral grip distance, but they combine it with another 2-frame option to like extend the 2-frame window. That's probably something you could do. But the egg hits. I don't think you can tech walls in this game. Falcon has to up B, you can't snap ledge in this game. Falcon tries to lean back, but Yoshi's forward air, basically, the way he does it, covers all the area he could go in. Go back onto the platform. Full up off stage, trying to like not get hit by anything. That makes sense. So he double jumps. I don't know if Yoshi can reverse his like direction with double jump like he can in all the other Smash games or not. I'm pretty sure he can, but I don't know that 100%. But I think he can. But I think he chose not to. He double jumps from a distance and then goes onto the platform. Because Yoshi's able to do that in all the Smash games. Falcon is, of course, going to try to up B. And the up B makes sense because it's one of the... Yoshi has double jump armor, but you can always up B through it or grab him. Which is why he spaced it and did it over here. Because if you double jumped in, Falcon could have grabbed or up B'd and Yoshi would have died. But able to get a reversal up there. Gets the combos into... I think a combo into down air. Well, he gets a shield out for a second, so I don't know. The downer might have just covered everything else he could have done afterwards. Combos... Doesn't get actually a true combo. But yeah, it drags him onto the ground. He flickers shield for like a split second. And then lets go. I wonder what the purpose of that is. There might be some rationale behind it. But the shield drop frames seem to get targeted a shocking amount in Smash 64 because a lot of his hits have been basically punishing. I do know that there's a lot of guaranteed shield break setups in this game, so you don't really want to get hit on shield like you do in other Smash games. But if that is the case, why even pull it out at all then? Unless you're like trying to roll or something. But hits the F tilt on basically the shield drop. Tries comboing into dash attack, but I think a little too slow. And is going to get reversaled. Simple up air, up B. But Yoshi's still alive. Cancels hit stun with forward air. Wow. So double jumps. Cancels the double jump armor with F smash. But it barely sends Yoshi anywhere to the point where it's almost unsafe on hit. But tries getting this reverse up tilt. I bet the up tilt probably would have been a combo, so it makes sense. Good knowledge on like these like niche scenarios. And then the guy that he's playing is like fucking laughing about whatever happening, but Kurabba's fucking locked in. It's kind of funny. Up tilt, F tilt beating the shield drop. I think if they kept holding shield, they would have to deal with shield break, so maybe that's why they're dropping it. Because you'd rather get hit by F tilt than have the F tilt hit your shield and basically him get a shield break combo from it. The F tilt. It says up into a tech chase. He short hops, and I guess on reaction, like he's probably queuing up this dash short hop. Because he knows it's going to be a tech chase. And he's probably reacting like as it's being queued up. So he's in reaction mode right now. He reacts to the tech roll in, and now it's as simple as doing a double jump cancel back air to the left. So it's probably like, oh, I set my opponent up to a tech chase situation. I can preemptively, because reaction time is a lot worse than people think it is. The key is to be able to preemptively do something. To put yourself in a position to be able to react. And Yoshi's very privileged in this game, where he can like jump and then double jump cancel to the left, right, or down. Like he can shift his momentum in so many ways. Whereas most other characters like can't do it like that. Like they have to go through their whole jump animation. I think this game's like floatier than other Smash games too. I mean, even in Ultimate, you can like I think a common strategy is you send someone in a tech chase situation and then you run and then you backflip, and then you can kind of do something on reaction. But you can usually only cover like one or two tech options on reaction and not all three. But he does space the back air. But I see what he was doing. Ooh, puts out a... So what does he do that? So, honestly, I think Falcon could have maybe gotten a punish here. But he's opting to get out of that. He's like, fuck, I might die if I'm in this situation. That's important to recognize. especially if you're fighting someone who's probably competent, right? Like, if they're in a very dangerous situation, they're probably, instead of trying to fight you, they will likely do something to get out of that situation. It depends on the situation. Like, let's say it's a situation that's like almost life or death. They're probably going to try to get out of this situation. Although, in Ultimate at least, I don't know about these other Smash games, but in Ultimate at least, I do see a lot of people like fight their way out, and sometimes fighting your way out is the right answer, which honestly it would have been here. Like if Falcon went for any attack, Yoshi didn't do anything to protect himself. It would have worked. But Kurabba knew that KD3 was going to try to get out of this situation. I think reacted to the jump and then placed this snare to basically put a wall out where Falcon wanted to go. Like basically putting the wall out onto the platform. Falcon's off stage, but I think Kurabba knew that he couldn't get anything guaranteed. Falcon was going to grab ledge. Dash dances for a second. He actually does a get up attack. But he jumps. I think he jumps kind of similar to before where he's kind of queuing up a reaction. And now he's trying to back air that get up attack but misspaces it again. But it does barely hit shield and forces him to grab ledge again. Ooh, okay. So full hop, fast fall. Full hop was just a reactionary position. And now he's full hopping again. But he's kind of giving a fake opening. Which giving a fake opening is, to my knowledge, a very important concept in Smash. Where you want to fake that there's available space for your opponent to go to. And then you find a way to punish them, you know? There's multiple ways of doing this, but Yoshi full hop made it look like he was going to go onto the platform so that it made it look like that there was a chance to dash in and get center stage. But then he's actually able to not go to the platform and actually put out a forward air at center instead. But once again, barely misspaces it, and KD3 is going to almost get a reversal downer, but Yoshi, I can't tell if that was a crouch or a low profile from the forward air. No, yeah, it was a Z canceled, so that crouch underwards, or yeah, afterwards. I just said underwards. That's a word. But that was very creative, and maybe you could do. It'd be kind of hard to do an ultimate. Like if I like an ultimate to do this exact setup, you could probably like full hop, and then just drift and try to hit someone for running under. You couldn't do a double jump cancel aerial, so it wouldn't be as fast, but it would probably still work. But forward airs, and then crouches afterwards to microspace pass out down air. That's actually kind of insane. He forward airs. He does jump at the very end, so I think he reacts to a whiffing and reacts to the jump. But I don't know, is this 60 frames per second? It is 60 frames per second. See, he's up in the air like right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't know. That down to that crouch might have just been like I'm gonna optimize this. Because I don't think he was able to react to the jump in such little frames. That is kind of fucking crazy though. I think he might have just known that like that's Falcon's most common with Punisher in that kind of range. I don't think with punishing is as easy in 64 if I recall correctly. Like hitting people like from horizontally on reaction to something is a bit harder in 64 to my knowledge. So it makes sense that a character would go for something like this. So Kurabba probably just knows like the most common options in these kind of situations and is like, okay, so I'm gonna go for this forward. If it hits, awesome. If it misses, I know that Falcon's most likely going to try to punish it with this down air and that I can crouch it because I've studied this situation and I know that Yoshi can crouch under this specific option. I guess the closest ultimate actually in ultimate there's probably some things you can crouch under that people wouldn't expect, but that is kind of insane. Getting a punish nair off of it. Knows he can't get another combo to my knowledge, so goes for the egg, which is going to help provide assistance edge guarding, but Falcon's able to grab ledge just in the nick of time. Staying at roll distance, just like an ultimate. Walling back air, and then a dash attack. Kind of like, some characters will like dash attack ledge in their ledge traps because the linger of a lot of characters' dash attacks will catch neutral get up. So I think that's what was going on here, because Falcon stalls and re-grabs the ledge, and I think he just makes a read that he's going to do a certain get up and dash attacks to cover it. Funny enough, that would have lost to rolling, but he was basically saying that, oh, I'm covering roll distance the entire game. Like, his primary position was at roll. And if you are telling your opponent you're covering a certain ledge trap scenario over and over, you basically open up certain possibilities. Ooh. So, able to kind of do this jump off stage, which honestly, funny enough, is useful in Ultimate as well. Because, you know, the whole thing about being in the corners, you can't move backwards. But if you do this backwards jumps, you can evade a lot of things. And you're going backwards. But you can still go back onto stage flexibly. And then goes out for the egg lay. Which, funny enough, you could do in Ultimate, you can do that exact motion in Ultimate. But the egg lay was probably... I mean, let's see if it was in reaction to something. It was right here, yeah. When was it inputted? Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It was, so, in input range, it was reacted, or it was inputted around the timing of this Falcon back air. So I think he just knew that he could, like, potentially... He might have been trying to punish the back air with the egg lay, or he might have been... It might have just been like, oh, I know this is going to catch a lot of options. Like, I see some Ultimate Yoshis grabbing the corner, too, because it, like, kind of, like... People who are trying to space you out in the corner, or corner pressure you in specific ways will, like, run into it. I will say for myself, though, I've tried it a few times and I very rarely get success out of it. But I could see this full hop strategy or like some positional strategy beforehand boosting it quite a bit. Interesting order from Falcon. I don't know what that was supposed to cover. Kind of doing a similar, but not going as off stage with it. But you can drift to the platform from there. I do like the patience, you know, like not rushing to get out of the corner. Sometimes, like you don't want to be in the corner in this game. Or in any Smash game, but sometimes the worst thing you can do is trying to rush out of the corner. And even feints, like, and then now he's able to inch his way out, putting out a little walled aerial, putting out a hitbox where the opponent would want to corner pressure, which is going to give Yoshi space to not be cornered anymore. But still dash dancing, you know, making it tricky on when he's going to get out of the corner. It now goes to the platform, but now we have the potential for similar gameplay we saw in the first game. Ooh, drifts off. Like, really trying not to get hit by anything, but I think almost any Falcon neutral one should result in a stock, especially with a percent. So that makes sense. Ooh, jumps in. Walling back air. I know that, like, a lot of ways you could play Smash is, like, kind of mixing back and forth between, like, whiff punishy, like, giving up space and then like undershooting, like putting out a hitbox in that space a lot, and that's a strong option, and it seems like Smash 64 like really plays to that, and then occasionally going for an overshoot, which I very rarely see in Smash 64 so far. Trying to a downer, that's kind of crazy. I think maybe this downer was placed just to put a lingering hitbox out where Falcon could land, but I think it could be reacted to. And that's going to be a back air. See how it recovers. Drifts this time and then cancels it with the egg to grab ledge. You know, obviously the egg is a threat that will prevent... It even hits. I think the only 50-50 here really is like... Well, I think it can ground pound to ledge in this game. I don't know how useful it is. But I think a lot of people are going to try to hit Yoshi out of the air. But this egg is basically like, oh, if you're going to try to edge guard me, you have to deal with this egg. Like, it's going to disrupt anyone trying to edge guard. And then he's able to double jump to the platform, except tries to wall out with this egg lay. Uses the wind actually to, I think, to boost it. Runs off stage and then double jumps to basically simulate an instant double jump. Because double jumping from the ground has its own benefits. And funny enough, I've seen top Yoshis do this in Ultimate. So, transcribable property. You can instant double jump from the ground to simulate it, but I think it's slightly more frame perfect. Or like slightly more like optimize a run off stage for a frame or two and then double jump, I think. And it's a great way to get out of the corner, to be honest. And you can transfer from the ledge to the top platform doing that. Shield drop, and now we're back into neutral. C is an easy way to reposition back into equal footing. Ooh, Falcon Juko tries stuffing something out. Jumps in, but is actually able to kind of feints like he's either going to the top platform or like playing neutral in some capacity. And then is able to go onto this platform. And then jumps from the platform into a very quick landing backer here. If Falcon tried doing anything here, that backer would have intercepted. And but Falcon commits really high. Falcon, I think, was committing high to cover this platform up above, but in doing that, he left himself open. So sometimes if you bait someone to try to cover something you're doing, like let's say you're doing, like, it's hard to explain in like full details, but like the example here is like, oh, he jumps off this top platform a lot. So you're doing an option that your opponent basically has to call out to beat. But then if you occasionally just don't do that option, then your opponent leaves themselves wide open to hit you. Like this Falcon to cover like one position you can go in, leaves himself open to like the 5 other things you could do. So that's going to be a back air punish. And that's going to be a tech chase with double jump cancel up air. Ooh, nair. Rolling is interesting. I don't even know if that was intentional. It almost seems like he even is like, oh shit, I fucked up. I need to quickly roll to the other side because I'm about to get reversaled. Then jumps, makes it look like he's jumping to the top platform. I don't know if that's actually what he was going for, but kind of does. And then gets his forward air to stuff Falcon out for if he was more aggressive, but Falcon not being that aggressive fades back. Yoshi leaves himself a little bit open though. Falcon tries to punish, which grabs are like very shockingly like quick in this game. They lose out to most attacks, I'm pretty sure, because they have very little range outside of Samus, but their like total frames are like they're like shockingly safe. So not a bad idea from Falcon to try to punch out with a grab. Walling back air, and then a walling nair in front of that back air, in case Falcon tried to punish it or take any space or anything. Yoshi does retreat a lot in these situations, so taking space would be a valuable thing to do. Falcon goes into the platform, tries putting out a lingering hitbox that could, like if Falcon tried running off the platform to the left, he would have ran into that nair. But then Yoshi can land, and if Falcon tried dropping through the platform, the nair would cover that too. So he's actually covering kind of 2 in 1. But the jump was the one thing it didn't cover, but it's not like it lost to the jump. Yoshi is short hopping backwards. Again, we love the concept of going backwards in the corner because people don't expect it. And Yoshi has the movement flexibility to double jump, cancel aerial back in, so he can go backwards almost off stage, but then go quick back onto stage surprisingly far on a click of a dime. I don't remember if that's the right wording or not. And then Nair even caught him off guard because with how far it went and got the hit. single hit down air to tech chase. I think that was on reaction. That seems like a pseudo kill confirm. I say pseudo because it ain't quite kill, but it's not likely that Falcon's gonna recover because edge guarding is like pretty easy in this game. Simple ledge hog will seal the deal. Now we're up 4 stocks to 1. Just dash dancing along. Sees if I can go onto the platform and instantly gets the up air. Excuse me, sorry. Ooh. It just kind of micro spacing in the possible ranges that Falcon could like swing in with the dash dances and the jumps and everything. He jumps and then swings in a lot quicker than you'd expect, or a lot further than you'd expect. Yoshi can go like really far, shockingly far out of his jumps. Goes with a forward air to kind of like a pseudo overshoot, not like a full in overshoot, but like swinging it a little bit far, which could have caught Falcon if he was just trying to move around Yoshi's range. And Yoshi's able to like jump backwards in a way that like it looks like he's giving space, but then he's like, actually, I'm going back in with this undershoot real quick. But then sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he just jumps to a platform or just jumps or moves around in general. And then sometimes he feints doing it, and then he actually just swings in. He jumps, and this was very ambiguous on if he was going to land, like right here. It was very ambiguous on if he was going to land on the platform or not, but he didn't. But also, it seems like he just whiff punished Falcon. Maybe jumps are good in Smash 64 because I don't think you can whiff punish horizontally very easily in this game, and most horizontal whiff punishes are not that rewarding. Like, they don't start the biggest combos. But maybe you can whiff punish vertically easier, which is kind of what Yoshi did here. Because if someone swings under, if you full hop and someone swings under you, you can fast fall on them with an aerial. At least that's my theory. Tries comboing it, but it seems like Falcon's just barely able to get out. But covers that. Falcon always like flickers shield and then I don't know. I don't know if there does something. Maybe he's actually trying to roll, but the first few frames of roll is getting caught. I don't know. I know parrying's not in this game, so I don't know what the shield flicker's for, but the shield release has been getting hit over and over and over. I guess I'm confused, like if you shouldn't be, I don't know. I haven't seen Kurabba go for the same shield flicker, so I assume it's a bad habit on the Falcon's part. But I don't know enough about Smash 64 to like say that with full confidence. But he got hit for it here. Gets the F tilt. F tilt seems good at covering. I think because it lingers for a few frames. I could be wrong. I think it lingers for a few frames and it has a surprisingly big hitbox. So in these close quarter situations where the opponent just whiffed something or buffered something or like did some defensive or offensive option that you have frame advantage on. F tilt seems decent because it is probably safe on. Obviously, it's safe. It's safe on whiff. It's safe on block. Obviously, in Smash 64, and it also covers a lot of things the opponent could do. Combos that or tech chases it into a nair, and then combos it into a forward air. That was definitely interesting. I mean, there's a lot of like kind of deception with like the movement. We see more like moving onto platforms and stuff, but I think the main thing, I think some of the eggs for edge guarding and disrupting people trying to edge guard you. Funny enough, he canceled double jump with up B. That is something you can do in Ultimate. I might mess around and see if you can do something with that. Like maybe there's some like recovery angle that's really good if you like cancel double jump into up B. Because that's like the one thing you can cancel double jump with in Ultimate. Besides like, well, I guess his other non-neutral B specials. But But I'm sure there's some range where you can double jump and then cancel to double jump into an up B to grab ledge and ultimate. So maybe I'll experiment with that. I mean, but I don't know of how useful that would be. But maybe there's some like niche position off stage where that's like a good recovery angle. But more specifically, I think the most I learned from Kurabba was like the way he positions. Like the way he back airs is really cool. The like he'll jump backwards to make it look like he's like moving away from you, but then he'll like fade back. He'll jump onto the platform. He'll fake jumping onto the platform. He'll make it look like he's moving back from you, but then he's like going in with the back air. So like you move in because you're like, oh, he's retreating. So that means I can like close in on this space. But then you just have a back air in your face for trying to take that space. And he's like, oh, I'm going to play passive in these ways. So if you want to hit me, you have to make a call out. But if you guess wrong on calling out these options that I'm cycling between, you're open, you know? I think and I think also just moving backwards in the corner was really strong. And we got to see the classic run off stage double jump, which I see people do in Ultimate sometimes. I don't do it enough personally. But we saw it in Smash 64, so, you know, it really goes all the way around. But that definitely was probably like the. It's weird. It was like more simple than Smash Melee Yoshi. But it was probably like harder to transcribe. I think the positional stuff was definitely applicable to all Smash games. But a lot of other things like, ooh, this game's like really weird to apply to Ultimate. Definitely the hardest one, but I did learn from like the way that he was moving and positioning and playing off of that and like the mind games he was kind of doing with that. But thank you guys for watching. Also, honestly, Yoshi could probably can play timeout E ish on platform stages, so maybe that is something to experiment with. But I don't know if this is the way I want to play, but you never know. But I hope you guys got any insight out of that. That was certainly interesting, but I hope you all have a wonderful day.